Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 1660, written by Able Resist 2226. My grandmother has an eerie secret. This occurred when I would stay at my grandparents' house very often, especially during the summers. Anyway, I was playing in the living room and my grandma said to me that her and my grandpa were going to the grocery store and that they would be right back. I vividly remember my grandma saying this to me, and even remember the exact jacket she had on as they were leaving. I then watched my grandma and grandpa leave for the store through the garage, hearing the garage door close and everything. I then went back to organizing my Pokemon cards for a little bit. After a while I got bored, so I decided to go upstairs to try to find something to do. This is where things get weird. I enter my grandparents' bedroom and immediately am sent into a shock, and the hair on my skin becomes raised. In the master bedroom is my grandma, looking in the mirror, putting on her makeup. I say to her something along the lines of, "Oh, I thought you left for the store already." My grandma then turns her face towards me, looks at me for about 5 seconds without saying anything, and then turns back to the mirror to continue her makeup. I was so shocked and confused. I remember feeling really uncomfortable because I thought she had already left. I was trying to make sense of the situation. I left the bedroom feeling uneasy, and I found it odd that she didn't respond. I went back downstairs to continue playing in the living room because I felt creeped out. I was keeping tabs on when my grandma was going to come downstairs to actually leave for the store. After a little while longer, my grandma comes back from the grocery store. I was truly shocked and confused by what just occurred, and was wondering how the hell I saw my grandma doing her makeup in the mirror when nobody was home but me. Case notes file 1660. My grandmother has an eerie secret. Talk about creepy indeed. Possible solutions would be your grandmother astrally projected back to what she was doing just a few moments ago. She didn't realize it, and her soul wasn't really interacting with the world. It was just on automatic repeat. Or the other possibility is you were seeing into the past, and your grandma could make out that there was someone there, but you were kind of like a blur to her. Maybe she saw you as a ghost even, because you weren't supposed to be interacting with that timeline. One or the other makes sense to me. Case file number 1661, written by fairycatattack. The journey's most unpredictable. Went to the mall with a friend of mine that we go to all the time. The mall isn't that big, so it's pretty easy to remember the layout and the stores and stuff. Well, one day walking by, it looked like a new store was opening where there used to be a Journey store. We went in to check it out since we were bored. There wasn't much in it, assuming it was still being put together. And they had these cool plastic chandeliers, so I bought one. They were literally one of the only things in the store. To be honest, none of the stuff made much sense. They had like 5 of these chandeliers, one rack of clothes that literally looked like they were from the early 2000s, super out of style, one of those hand-shaped chairs, and some random accessories at the register. A few days later, the friend I went with said she wanted to go to get one of the same chandeliers for her room. So we went back. When we got to the mall, the store wasn't there anymore, and the Journeys was back. We were confused, so we asked one of the employees what happened to the other store. They had no clue what we were talking about. The Journey/chandelier store was directly next to the food court area. We asked a couple other stores and food places if they knew what happened to the new store. None of them had a clue what we were talking about. No one recalled any new store being there. We checked the whole mall, no new store existed. What makes it so weird is there's only one food court. It was a very memorable landmark, and we were positive it was in the same spot as the Journey store. Case notes file 1661. The Journey's most unpredictable. Multiverse peering, sure, with a cracked standard to boot. But I just want to take a pause here and recognize how incredibly divergent the multiverse ocean can be. Again, we're talking about quadrillions times quadrillions times quadrillions of possible variations. Every single different energy state or vector of any given particle or oscillation in the field, any field, creates a different universe, a branching path, like a tree spreading its roots, but there's so many roots you can't even come close to visualizing it. So no, it's not infinite, but it's so large it might as well be. Anything that could possibly happen is happening in some universe. So yeah, you have a universe out there with a different store that is selling the weirdest stuff, plastic chandeliers and weird assortments and food and clothes, whatever. I'm sure that's not anywhere near as close to as bizarre as it gets. There's probably a store out there selling dinosaur heads. Who knows? What kind of wonky realities exist? Which is very fun to think about. And especially the idea that we can see it at some point. How far away of a universe can we peer into? Well, probably not that far. From everything we've read so far, the differences can be notable, but nothing truly, crazy. Like porting into a universe where it's still the jungle. We didn't, humans aren't around. There's giant flying insects, crazy stuff like that. Nothing like that. Or like aliens have conquered the Earth. We don't have any stories like that yet, and maybe it's just not possible to peer into universes that far away in the multiverse ocean. It does seem like distance matters. Case file number 1662, written by Clarence AI, The Walk Between Worlds. Hey everyone, I have to share something bizarre that happened to me a while ago, and it's been eating at me ever since. A bit of background about me. I'm a 31-year-old guy living in the southeast side of Norway, and I work as a web developer. My daily routine has been pretty much the same for the past 3 years. I walk to and from work, usually arriving at the office around 0530 and leaving around 1400. So here's where things get weird. It was a typical early morning walk to work. I was strolling along the roads on the outskirts of my city, plugged in my tunes, and soaking in the serene beauty of the autumn-winter night sky. My route is pretty straightforward, a dimly lit road with a sidewalk on each side. I always stick to the left sidewalk out of habit. Now I love to gaze at the stars and moon during my walk, especially in the crisp winter air. However, this particular morning took a turn for the strange when my Samsung Galaxy Buds started acting up, losing connection to my phone sporadically. I fiddled with them for a bit but eventually gave up, attributing the issue to a dead battery. That's when I noticed it. The air was thick with a static charge, reminiscent of the atmosphere before a thunderstorm, yet the sky was entirely clear. I tried to shake it off and continued my walk, but then the hair on my arm started to stand on end, and an intense ringing assaulted my ears. I thought maybe I was having a panic attack. They've hit me a few times in the past. So I employed my usual coping techniques. Unfortunately, they were to no avail. In a growing state of alarm, I scanned my surroundings only to realize that somehow, impossibly, I was now on the right sidewalk. I hadn't crossed the road, I was sure of it. An eerie silence enveloped everything. No wind, no distant city sounds, nothing. Even the moon seemed to betray me, showing a phase indicating a week had mysteriously passed. I frantically checked my phone. Dead. My watch had also stopped ticking. The distant city lights, which should have been visible, were enveloped in an unsettling darkness. Now I was genuinely freaking out. I closed my eyes, desperately trying to rationalize the impossible events unfolding around me. My heart raced as the static electricity and the ringing returned. Fearfully, I opened my eyes, and I was back on the left side of the road. The static and ringing had ceased, the moon was back to its correct phase, and the distant city lights twinkled reassuringly. My phone and watch were functioning as if nothing had happened, and apparently, only a few minutes had passed. I sprinted the remaining 2.4 kilometers to work, my mind whirling with the inexplicable occurrences. I didn't share this with anyone until now, but there's one more thing. I remembered that my exercise app was running on my phone during the incident. When I checked it upon reaching work, I noticed that the GPS lost track of me precisely at the time of the incident. I can't explain what happened, and maybe the phone's power loss could account for the GPS issue, but still. Case file 1662, The Walk Between Worlds. How you describe the walk? Being outdoors in that cool, crisp air, having the beautiful night sky, the stars twinkling, the moon bright, it just sounds magical. And I mean that beyond any discussion of the glitch, just beautiful magic in nature. Now, the static buildup and the disconnection from your phone, maybe your phone even being drained of battery, that is bizarre, not normally reported in cases of space-time portals, which would explain how you shifted between sidewalks. Or if you were just in a different universe, your soul jumped to a different one where you were walking on the other side. Then the differences in the moon, the shift of the moon, or maybe you were shifting into your body in a week from now along the same walk, the same routine. To me, it just is strange that in all these reports of space-time portals or the effects of them, we don't often hear about static charges or energy discharges or anything like that. Where, in my guess, my hypothesis would have been we would always hear about those. So, just odd, but who knows what's going on, really. Now time for the joke of the day. What is brown and sticky? A stick. Yes, sticks are amazing, and as men, we all know that. If we're going in the hike, in the forest, or in the park, or wherever, and we see a perfect stick, we pick it up and we wield it. I don't know why we do it, but we do it. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.